Hey, good afternoon, KBLX Nation and my AARP California family. It's Nikki Thomas, afternoons on 102.9 KBLX. It's that time again. We said it was a series. This is our last and right on time. Your vote, your voice, our fight. And for our last in the series, we just went real big with it. We went real deep soul with it. The one and only multi-talented, like one of my favorite singers of all time, and my Aquarian brother, Lenny Williams, is here. How you doing today, sir?
I am good. I'm good. And that hair is looking mighty good. I like it. Yes.
It's a little crooked today.
No.
But,
for my hair, it's perfect. Perfecto.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And let me just note here that anytime you've got this much Aquarian energy together, something good is about to pop off. All right.
Yeah.
I believe so. And plus you got the lean right now, sir.
Oh, I got the gangster lean?
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. It's like that album cover. It's like Thriller.
Yes.
Or the Lionel Richie or the Luther. They always did that lean on the album cover.
Okay. Well, hey, that's good company right there. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Conversation today. We're very close to election day. And I know that there's some last minute folks out here.
I graduated from high school in 1962 from Fremont High School in Oakland. And so I was right in the midst of the whole civil rights movement in that time period. And so they didn't pass the civil rights bill until 1965. I've been out of high school for 3 years. So and at that time, you couldn't vote until you were 21. Now you can vote at 18.
Wow.
And so it was something that I had looked forward to all my young life, my teenage years to voting, when my dad took us to see Martin Luther King. And so voting has always been at the top of my list of something that I wanted to do. I was right in the midst of the struggle, that every day you turn the radio on or get the newspaper, read Jet magazine, and you'd read about someone getting killed or maimed for trying to vote, to exercise the American right to vote. So voting has always been important to me, and I just like to always try to encourage people to, especially young people, to get into the experience and realize the history of the struggle for people to vote. And people a lot of times they think that it's just African Americans who were denied the right to vote. But when America first started, only rich white men, landowners, could vote. If you were white and you didn't own land or you weren't rich, you couldn't vote. Then eventually all white men got to vote, then black women, then black men, and then finally black women. So everybody's kind of been in that struggle to gain the right to vote. So it's something I think everybody should definitely do with pride and put it right at the top of their list.
Okay, you said a bunch of stuff right there. You said you graduated high school, 1962, in the midst of the civil rights movement, in the midst of the struggle.
Yes.
And I know a lot of us feel like we're in that same place in 2020, in the midst of a struggle. We call it by different names. It's a slightly different experience, but it is,
it's one and the same. Yes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that's why it's important right there, because there still is a struggle.
Still the resistance for everybody to vote. And a lot of people think that their vote doesn't count, but we've seen some elections where people have won by the slimmest of margins, even one vote. And so everybody should get out and vote and know that your vote counts. If even if it doesn't sway the election, it kind of lets people know how what the majority is, what the consensus is in a particular area. So it's extremely important that you exercise your right to vote.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for that history lesson in a nutshell, because
I've been around. I've been here a long time, 75 and a half years, so I've seen some stuff. Yes.
But you were talking about just that the issue of separation has been a big one in this country for a really long time. Just like you building that out for us, like it was only rich white landowners. Right. And then it was this. Then it was, you had to wait your turn to have that right.
Yeah, they did it in increments, right? And so now everybody should just really realize that they should exercise that right to vote, because it didn't come easily.
Ooh, the one and only Lenny Williams. See, I had to stop right there for impact because he's speaking the truth. KBLX Nation. It's Nikki Thomas in the afternoon, and y'all see the lighting situation is a whole lot different today, right? Since we, that hour thing, that fall back thing happened this past weekend. I see you, Deidre and Denise and Fred and Grace Sonia. Darnaro is here, Tasha Harris and Rosemary. I see you, KBLX Nation. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is our fourth in our series. Your vote, your voice, our fight. And I need to say that quote one more time. The right to vote did not come easy. I really could stop the whole series right there because that was an amazing quote from our legendary Lenny Williams. Can y'all believe he's 75 years old? I got to look that up. That can't be right. It just can't be right. But we're here to do some work today. Hi, Tiffany. I see you. Deidre says, I voted. Okay. Absolutely, fam. Absolutely. So welcome. Our series is presented by AARP California. Please share this video. We've been saying, hey, there's going to be some last minute folks for the past 3 weeks. And I know there's still some last minute folks on election eve, but it's okay. That's the theme of our show tonight. It is okay. AARP is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people ages 50 plus to choose how they live as they age. AARP strengthens communities and advocates for what matters most to families. And this year, AARP is fighting to make sure your voice is heard in the 2020 election. Hallelujah. So joining us today for an important discussion on voting in the 2020 election is AARP California State Executive Council member Michael Dolphin. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm wonderful this evening. Thank you for the introduction, Nikki, and thank you for allowing us to be here.
Oh, man, this is a community partnership and a community work. The AARP California family joining together with KBLX to do this work is, it's an honor. And I love that it happened. And, we just kind of joined together real quickly and say, hey, let's do this. It's a magical thing.
I would agree. It's magical, and community partnership is what we should always be about in any circumstance. I kind of hate to say it, but we kind of exist in our own little places, and we should be talking across the line. We should be talking across the wall. We should be talking across the fence. And when we have opportunities like this, like voting, 2020 is a historic year. But every election is important, even as we talk about 2020 and the things that are on the ballot. Every election is important. Every one of these circumstances. But now we've got 2020, we've got a ton of issues that are going to be dependent on the outcomes of this election. What happens next comes after what happens tomorrow. And that's important.
I feel some kind of way that it's election eve. I feel some kind of way. Like, I feel like, some things are bubbling up in there. So let's just jump in with our Q&A, Michael, because there's some folks, like I said, we don't have any judgments. If you're some last minute folks and he wouldn't have any judgment at all. All we have is information. Okay, we have information and inspiration for you this evening. So yes, I see that a lot of people in the comments here. Sophie says voted and ballot verified. Hallelujah. Okay, we want to make sure that everybody votes. So share the video on your page to remind your family and friends to vote. Now, Michael, what if somebody is eligible to vote, but they haven't registered yet on election eve? Can they still vote?
Absolutely. California has done everything that they can, the Secretary of State's office. So if you haven't registered, you can show up at a polling place tomorrow and let the volunteers who are working there already know what your circumstance is. And you can complete a process known as conditional voter registration. And the conditional voter registration, the process is simply that they'll take enough information to be able to identify you and allow you to vote, but your vote will be counted after your status as a voter is validated or verified, as a matter of fact. But it can be done. And in your county, there are local numbers in your county We expect them all to operate the same way, but there might be a little bit of difference in terms of access. I don't know. But if you want to make that phone call, you call 800-345-VOTE and get the answers to your questions. But it is possible at the last minute to register tomorrow and vote tomorrow.
So in other words, yes, you can vote. So really, there's no such thing as last minute.
No, there isn't.
You can totally register. Okay, so here's the phone number, and the phone number is so important. We've been saying this for the entire series. If you know of someone that is really not great with the computers and the technology, et cetera, et cetera. We know we have, some folks in our communities that is like, okay, I don't do that. I don't understand. I don't know. Phone number works just as well. 800-345-VOTE, 800-345-8683. And you got to do it old school if you're trying to share the phone number with, grandmama, auntie, or cousin who might need it. Write it down old school. 800-345-VOTE, 345-8683. So, so many ways to get the information that you need. All right, so question number 2, Michael, let's say I haven't voted yet, but I have my mail ballot sitting at home. Can I still vote by mail?
You can still do that too. The processes have been put in place. The one caveat is you want to be certain that your ballot gets to the post office because it has to be postmarked for November the 3rd. Absolutely has to be postmarked for November the 3rd. So you want to get it there to the post office, or you can drop it off at a drop-off box that's located in your communities as well, and it will count the same way. So you can still get it done. You can pick it up and take it and not enter a polling booth, get it to the post office or get it to a drop-in box so that it's done for November the 3rd.
Okay. And so the polling place is 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Election day tomorrow. So you still got a wide, expanse here of time to make something happen. So plenty of good positive answers in here.
And one additional caveat, particularly on the mail-ins, you have to be certain to get your signature on it. Little small error in looking over that box could just totally invalidate everything. There is a place for a signature on your mail-in votes, and be certain that you sign it. Old school.
Yeah, but you know what? They're pretty self-explanatory. All of the instructions are there, and it's pretty easy. I think the work is when you are looking at all the different measures and things. You want to make sure that you understand those, and there's plenty of information on those as well. But it's just a little bit of work to be in active citizenship. When we spoke to Danny Glover a few weeks ago, it was like everybody had all these great quotes. Lenny had a great quote. It's like, ooh, this one quote right here, active, not just kind of letting things pass you by, but being a part of the changes, creating the changes. So this is all amazing. I know I'm seeing a lot of my Facebook friends saying, I didn't vote yet. Oh my God, what do I do? It's still all good. It's still all good. All right, so Michael, and if I think that mailing my ballot is cutting it too close, I'd rather vote in person. Where can I find out where I need to go and what I need to bring?
It's on the back of your sample ballot. Your most immediate locations will be printed there for your local community. But throughout the rest of your county, if you decide, as one example down here in Los Angeles, LA Dodger Stadium has become a very popular place, not just for voting or dropping off your ballots, but for picking up some Dodgers gear. I'm going to stay out of that one versus San Francisco. But it does help to do that as well. I mean, there are a couple of places that, will serve a dual purpose as well. But if you don't have it on your sample election, you could do the 345-VOTE phone number, and they can give you the exact ones as to what's immediately available to you. And another new technology is everything these days. You can text vote to GOVOTE, text vote to go vote, and receive that information as well. You need to bring your California driver's license. I'm sorry, not your California driver's license, but your California identification, to show identification at a polling place or some other form of identification. Bring with you that just kind of validates and verifies who you are. And I know those words are interchangeable, but certainly as a voter, you want to be certain that you're properly identified so that your vote does count. Bring your ID with you. You can bring a copy of a recent utility bill to verify your address, where you live in the community as well. The sample book that you received, or any other document sent to you by a government agency. And if you're questioning anything at all, we're going to do it again. The 345 vote telephone number will help you with any final details. And in some cases, you may believe that what you need is more specific to you rather than kind of the general terms we're using here. But there are folks there, volunteers and workers there to help you get it done. There will be, I'd hate to say it because I don't want to seem, well, let's put it this way. It's easier than you could ever imagine with just a little bit of work on your part, but you must vote tomorrow.
Yes, you must.
Bottom line.
Must. You absolutely must. Okay. And just like anything else, we've always got to double check when we're walking out of our houses. Nowadays, don't forget the face mask, the hand sanitizer, and your own black or blue ballpoint pen if you want, which is a great reminder because, everybody's careful of what they're touching nowadays. So, bringing everything that you need is always great. And, if, you think you might have to wait in line, bring whatever is going to make you comfortable. So, we got to think about all the little things here because it's a big year. It's an important election. So, which brings us to what can voters expect tomorrow at their polling place? I would imagine things are going to look a whole lot different.
Things will look a whole lot different. It just, for people who've done it before, it was just a kind of normal thing. You walk in, you go to a booth. But with all concerns over CDC guidelines and the COVID-19 issues, and frankly, a very well-placed concern for our health and safety. So the polling booths will be operated by folks who will wipe down everything when you're done, who will wipe down everything before you come in. Masks are required. They've laid out the polling places physically for social distancing, even in terms of entering and exiting the premises as well, so that you feel that you're in a safe environment, and everything that they've done as well. And bring your own pen. It will make you more comfortable to walk in with your own and walk out with your own. But I am told from most polling places that they've got pens on hand, so you won't have to do that. And then you leave the polling place with the gift of a pen because they're not going to reuse it. So you won't have that issue as well.
Okay.
So the whole idea is to be as safe as possible for those people who still want to vote in person. And we can see it in a number of ways. There's a certain amount of satisfaction for those folks who like to vote in person and get it done as they always have. But there will be some extreme issues being addressed in terms of sanitation, social distancing, or physical distancing, I would rather say, in terms of those environments as well.
Okay. And one last thing to remember here, although the polls close at 8 p.m. tomorrow, if you are in line to vote by 8 p.m., then you still have the right to cast your ballot and be heard. So if you're a super duper last minute, just make sure you're in that line by 8 o'clock, because I would imagine there's a cutoff position there at 8, and you've got to be standing in the line. So I certainly appreciate that, everything has pretty much been mapped out and thought of for us to really make it easier for everyone to participate and to vote this year. So we absolutely want everyone to be heard. When we started talking, you mentioned a lot is at stake in this election. Can you remind folks what is at stake and why voting is so important? Because we can't talk about that too many times. It's, something we need to keep saying.
And for our entire populace. And I'll make the point, we're talking about AARP, and as you mentioned earlier, and AARP issues, we're looking at I'm not even fond of the word aging workers, but we're all going to be 50 and 51 and 52 and 53 as God desires us to be. And so things that we vote on today are going to affect tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. There are issues on the table to ensure that older workers and families can recover from the economic downturn that the nation has faced as the pandemic began. And not just in terms of current state of the economy, but as we rebuild the economy, rebuilding jobs, being able to go back to your place of business and being able to be successful there. We want to ensure that Medicare can continue to provide access to quality and affordable health care for older Americans. We want to reduce what consumers in the United States have to pay for life-sustaining prescription drugs. AARP is very, very committed to reducing the cost of prescription drugs and the legislations and the propositions that go around that. The cost of staying healthy, I think we can say pretty much across the board, is a lot higher than it should be for us to be able to maintain our quality of life. We want to be sure that current and future generations will get the retirement benefits that they've earned and the ones that they rely on. There are lots and lots and lots of folks who spent their whole life working so that they could spend the rest of their life enjoying the fruits of their labor. And there are a number of things around Social Security we have to be sure that they stay there. It's not a gift. It's what people have earned for their lifetime of working and their careers.
Preach, preach, preach.
And for a lot of us, we all have parents. We have much more elderly people in our families. We want to be sure that residents in nursing homes are protected and other long-term care facilities against sickness, neglect, and isolation, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, and ensure that older Americans have the choice to age in their own homes. We've got to put pieces in place to ensure that we have those choices. And there are a number of reasons for those choices. And there are folks who say, I want to live in my house until the day comes. And I want to be able to enjoy that as well. So there's so much more. But every piece of it is important to us as a people, us as citizens, us as communities, building those community partnerships of everything that reaches across to the other side of the table. And AARP has been working on this for 34 years. I have been volunteering at AARP for almost 4 years, and I'm amazed every day at the staff. I've said it way too many times that I've just been so impressed that AARP has found some really, really smart people to work on the behalf of older Americans. And they're dedicated and committed, and they're constantly on the job.
I love it. I love it. If you want more information, aarp.org/CO votes. You can find the latest information on voting and where the presidential candidates stand on these key issues, which is, again, that's active citizenship right there. Active.
I love
I'm
it.
researching. I
I
know
love
it's
the term.
genius. It's genius. And, you know, this is awesome that AARP California has stepped in to make this information very readily available, because sometimes it's hard to know where to go to look and find the information that you need. But there it is right there. So this is so amazing. Very special guest, Michael Dolphin from AARP California. Do you have any last comments for our viewers as we wrap up our conversation on election eve?
We can't say it enough. Get out and vote. Make your voice known. And you know, I one of the things about short messages is that we want to be sure that people get them. Voting is power. Voting is power for every single one of us at any level of citizenship in the United States of America. Your vote has as much power as the next mega billionaire business owner. The same credit for that vote. So for those folks who are most directly impacted by what happens, their collective vote matters. So we want you to get out and vote. We've provided lots of information. There are tons of information. If you're concerned about your ballot getting counted, you know that there are mechanisms in place where where you can verify that they have actually received your vote. You can go to where's my ballot.sos.ca.gov, and you can get email or an automatic text or voice call about your ballot and its status. There's obviously, as we've said before, there's more information available at the AARP website, aarp.org/CAVOTES for California votes. Or you can receive information over the phone, and we've mentioned the phone number a few times now, but that's what it's there for. Let's keep those folks busy at 800-345-VOTE.
This is amazing. This is amazing. We have some extras. You know, the nation is here. Levi's Stadium will be a voting center. Park for free at the Great America parking lot next to the stadium. Ballot drop off at the stadium entry security gate canopy 3. All right. And then looks like the Oakland Coliseum is also a place where we can drop off our ballots. So, you know, specifically for the Bay Area, just thought we kind of throw that out there because no excuses. No excuses. There's somewhere nearby. Yeah. There's information at your fingertips. You know, we are here election eve night. I feel like we're, you know, roving reporters or something, Michael. You and me, where we're just up to the minute.
Absolutely. And, you know, I will say that because we are a community, I've heard, and I know of very, very many communities, if you have a problem in getting to a voting place and you still want to vote in person, there are community organizations and churches and volunteers in the community that are just a phone calls away who will come by and pick you up and take you and have a pleasant afternoon getting it done. So there are no excuses.
Yeah, I think it's great. You know, we've always witnessed that in communities all across the country, everywhere I've ever been and lived. But you know, the pandemic has really brought out a really, really strong sense of community where we're always thinking of each other. And again, what we're doing together, KBLX and AARP California, it's another example of like, you know what? This two great platforms here. So some great information. It's a big, great community. We got a whole nation of folks. So, you know, it's an example of what we can do when we come together. And the last part is absolutely up to you as individuals, is just to go out and get that ballot in there by any means necessary. So I know that, you know, between all the information that we've shared today and, you know, your community, you know, if there's like a need to, hey, I need a ride to a polling place, or can you, I know we talked about it the other week, there's an option of having someone bring your ballot in for you. So this is so amazing. All right, so let's go over our information one more time to make sure if anybody just coming into the live stream late, we're just we're going to give you the information again. So there is a phone number if you need more information, 800-345-VOTE. That's 800-345-8683. 800-345-8683. Go ahead and write the phone number down just in case, or either take a picture with your phone and, you know, just kind of have it with you if you need to, you know, give somebody the information that they need. And also, this is for if you have sent your ballot in and you want to, or no, this is for if you want to know where to go, polling places and things like that. Text VOTE to 468-683. And last but not least, the aarp.org/CA votes websites. Just so much information. That's a great place to start right there, though. aarp.org/CA votes. Well, Michael, I know that you're super busy at this particular time and day, and we thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time and sharing your energy and enthusiasm and all this great information. And also, quick shout out here, special thanks to Danny Glover, Pete Escovedo, Too Short, and the fabulous Lenny Williams for joining us and amplifying our voices together. Thank you so much, Michael Dolphin, AARP California.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And our KBLX Nation, Chuck Hunt, checking in from Monroe, Louisiana in the building. Chuck says, I voted early. Tuesday, October 20th. Okay, everybody. One day we're going to get our lives together and be like Chuck. April, I see you. Jason McMurray. Amira, how you doing, honey bun? And Juan Perez is here. Juan voted too. So this is an amazing thing. So we know our KBLX Nation is up on all of this information because we've been talking for 4 weeks. But share the video and make sure that everybody on your friends list is up to par as well. Thank you for your time. Michael Dolphin, AARP California, Nikki Thomas in the afternoon, 102.9 KBLX, and AARP California, your vote, your voice, our fight. Have a great evening, everybody.
You too. Thank you, Nikki, so much.
Thank you. Good night.
All right.